What up, brawlers? Welcome back to Throwin Hands. It's just me right now. Jacob, Daniel is not here right now, but I do have a special guest, Casey Kenney. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Just, glad to be doing more interviews. It's always a pleasure. So we're just going to kick it right off here. How'd you get your start in mixed martial arts?
Obviously I started at a young age with like judo and wrestling, so other sports, and just kind of fell into an MMA fight. But I had my first MMA fight right after I graduated high school, right before I went to basically the summer before college, kind of spur of the moment thing. And a small promotion came to my hometown, and my friends were kind of uh, egging me on to compete in this fighting event since I had been doing judo and wrestling my whole life. And then so I fought in it, and I won by suplex, knockout by suplex, and fell in love with the sport. So that's all she wrote.
So through my research, I found out that you were a judo national champion. Would you say
Yes.
that's prepared you for competition because you compete at such a high level at such a young age?
Yeah, with everything that I've done leading up to it, it's not only helped me as far as like techniques and stuff, but just like the mindset to be like a high level judoka or a high level wrestler, to compete with the best. It's similar mindset to competing with the best in MMA as far as like the mindset of training, the mindset of being the best in the world and that type of thing. So they definitely set me up for everything I got going on right now.
So would you say that your judo and Greco game is the most important part of your game, so to speak?
I like to stand and strike nowadays, but it's definitely got the roots built into it, and I think that's part of like why I feel so comfortable striking is, my grappling. I've lived in the grappling world my whole life. Like I can throw without being worried about being taken down, not saying I can't get taken down, but, I have confidence in my grappling ability. So it lets my striking go as well. But the judo Greco part is definitely an important part, also with like the transition into like the Muay Thai clinch and the clinch, the clinch positions in MMA.
So you get to your first pro fight. What were your thoughts going into this, knowing that you're finally going to get a paycheck?
The first pro fight was good. Obviously the paycheck was really little, but it was like finally I was a professional athlete. I didn't have a super long amateur career, but it's something that I had always like dreamt of, like being able to call myself a professional athlete. And it took a little while to get where I wanted to go, but just being a pro athlete was a goal in itself.
So you take the momentum from that fight and go on a 7-fight undefeated streak on your way to the Contender Series. What was your experience like at the Apex in the Performance Institute when you were there?
Man, well, actually, the Apex and the Apex wasn't there. We were still at the Ultimate Fighter gym. I was the
Oh
first
yeah.
season of the Contender Series, so I was the old school one. But the PI was there. It was just open, so kind of opened my world to like where the transition or of moving into the UFC, what would be available to me. Obviously it took a little bit longer after the Contender Series to finally get in, but the Contender Series kind of gave me a small taste of what it was like to be in the UFC.
So you get that small taste and you win by unanimous decision. What were your thoughts coming out of that fight?
Uh, Obviously didn't get the contract after the win on the first one, but I knew they were either A, going to call me back, which ended up happening, or B, I was going to be, one of the first calls on a short notice fight. So after that first one, I wasn't, too discouraged that I didn't get a contract, just got back to work and was kind of waiting for the next moment. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, so you do get that next moment 6 weeks later. It was a split decision loss. What did you learn from that, and what have you used from that fight going forward?
I learned a lot, man. I learned a lot about myself after that, especially, uh, I felt like I won that fight. I felt like I deserved a contract. A lot of people thought that. So that's something that, you get in life and in the long run, it helped me. You got to deal with stuff when it doesn't always go as planned, even if it's supposed to be one way, sometimes it goes another way, and you got to learn to deal with that and move on from that. And honestly, I came into the UFC in a whole totally different division, finally, and everything. So I'm happy with the way it worked out. But I learned a lot, man. It's definitely a life lesson.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly worked out. You became the double champ in the LFA with your interim belts in 2 divisions. What was it like being on top of a promotion, knowing that your work is paying off?
Uh, man, I mean, it's awesome to say I'm still the only LFA champ that they've ever had so far. That's definitely one of a kind. But I knew I was one of the best in the world, and I could compete with some of the best in the world. And like you said, the LFA title fights, jumping in with Ray Borg to start off, all those things. I knew I was capable of, but actually doing them is sometimes a different story. And once I completed all that, I felt like it was a big boost in confidence for me.
So after becoming the champ in the LFA, you finally make your UFC debut against Ray Borg. What was it like stepping into that octagon for the first time?
Man, those 2 weeks were like a roller coaster. Sometimes it doesn't even seem real, but I was rolling with whatever happened. And I ended up getting the win, and I couldn't have asked for more. Maybe put Ray Borg away, but after everything that had happened, and everything I'd been through, it was just nice to go there, make my debut, and get a win against a former title challenger.
Definitely. So you get the win after the Borg fight. You get a win against Ramirez, but you lose to a man who has a similar skill set to you in Merab Dvalishvili. What were your lessons learned? You were a top 15 contender. Like, did that add more fuel to the fire?
Yeah, it kind of ignited the fire, but uh, it helped me with my mindset a little bit. I kind of felt like the Marab fight. I did good in some parts, but there was times where I just tried to take his head off, and I didn't stay a well-rounded mixed martial artist. And I think little adjustments in the mindset and the game plan. I had a good game plan, but I just kind of went away from it. Staying on task with a guy like Marab. You know, Definitely something I took away from that fight is just being a little bit more level-headed in the fight instead of trying to kill somebody with one punch.
So you take those lessons learned and you get the win versus Smolka, and now you're coming up on this October 3rd fight against Alateng. What are your thoughts going into this next fight coming up in a few weeks?
Man, I just want to put on a show. Put on a show, keep rolling with the momentum that I had against Smoka. I felt like I found a stride there that if I fight like that in all my fights, guys are going to have a hard time surviving that 15 minutes. And that's what I want to do. I want to go put Alateng away and keep climbing back towards the rankings, the title shot. I'm in it for the long haul.
So what do you think you'll have to do to get back in that top 15?
I don't know if this fight's gonna skyrocket me back into there, but I think it definitely sets me up with another fight close to that, if not maybe a top 15 after this fight. Really, I just want to fight again before the end of the year. Doesn't really matter who it is, but I keep winning. I keep putting guys away, and I'll be back in the those rankings in no time.
No, I'm just curious on your thoughts. Like, this bantamweight division is absolutely stacked right now. Like, what do you think of the level of competition in this division?
Man, it excites me. What better way to be in the UFC, but not only in the UFC, but in a division that's, they're talking about one of the best right now. Obviously 55, 70, 85, all those guys are, all those divisions are deep, but, bantamweight was never really talked about like one of those divisions up until, a few years ago. And it's cool to be a part of that the little guys are finally getting some recognition.
Alrighty, man. So is there anything like, words of motivation or anything you want to say to end this interview off with?
Man, just tune in. October 3rd is gonna be it's gonna be an exciting night. I'm gonna put on a show, and hope everybody's staying safe out there.
All right, guys, that was some shameless self-promotion from Casey Kenney. Casey, where can people find you on social media?
You can find me at CKMMA 135 on Twitter and Instagram, and then just Casey Kenney at Facebook.
Alrighty, guys, that was Casey Kenney. You can catch him on October 3rd on Fight Island. Wait, I'm just curious. What are your thoughts about going to Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, man, that should be exciting. Fight Island, I feel like, is going to go down in the history books. And, they had their little, like, four event, stint a couple months ago. And now I'm with the second wave. And, I think it's just cool to be a part of it. I'm curious to see how everything goes. We're going to be quarantined wherever we go. So might as well be in Abu Dhabi, right?
Definitely. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, anytime, man. Appreciate your time as well.
All right, guys. Casey Kenney, you can catch him on October 3rd against Alateng on Fight Island. Casey Kenney, everybody.